Okay, so good day, class. So for our first topic for general microbiology will be the introduction of microbiology and ang young history. So, din kita nag-start. So, today you have here discussion. Okay, so na. Discussion, okay, study of microscopic organisms that are too small to be seen by our naked eye and can only be seen with the aid of microscope and such. Thus, therefore, they are called your microorganisms because they are in the size of micro. Okay? Ano nyo na magkaroon yung terms or mga measurement when you say micro. Okay? A brief history of your microbiology. Okay? It was first observed by Dr. Robert Hooke. Observed in a plant material and was composed of your little boxes. He introduced the term also nga cell. Okay, so nga little boxes ang nakita ya. Okay, kaysa yung mga plant, ang mga plant cells composed of cell wall. Okay, it is a very rigid cell wall kapinas sa plant because it controls the entry of your water kag pagwa. Mga kisa makita mo sa mga plant mo or sa stem kapinas kahoy. Okay, very rigid or tamandid ka solid ang ilang cell wall. Compared mo sa mga normal cells sa aton as human, which is flexible, or kung kita mo sa mga red blood cell, red blood cell is very separated kag as a human we are composed of different types of cells. The first observation of Robert Hooke observe sa iyang plant material, iluwat lang, okay, sorry, copy lang. Then you have here Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Okay, with the use of simple microscope was first observed na ang microorganism. Ibig sabihin the difference between your uh, sample nga halin sa plant kag microorganism. The difference is the little boxes nga nakita yang plant cell, okay, is the composition sang tanom. The difference between the microorganism is microorganism can live by itself. You have your mga bacteria, you have your viruses, parasites. Those are your microorganism. They are very small individual or organisms. History of your microbiology, you have here Hook, Van Leeuwenhoek, and also Cod. Okay, the development of the microscope along with the observation of various scientists lead to the discovery of your microorganism. Microorganism speculations. Okay. Pre-microbiology or studies ng microbiology sa una, it is possible that the microorganism exists was discussed for many centuries before their actual discovery. In the 17th century, the existence of unseen microbiological life was postulated by Jainism, which is based on Mahavira's teaching as early as your 6th century before Christ era or BCE. In his first century book on agriculture, Roman scholar Marcus Terentius Varro was the first known to suggest possibility of disease spreading by yet unseen organism. In this book, he warns against locating a homestead near swamps because there are certain minute ibig sabihin mga small, okay, minute creatures that cannot be seen by our eyes, which floats in the air and they enter the body through the mouth or nose or respiratory system, and they cause your serious diseases. In the canon of medicine, it was released by 1020. Abu Ali Ibn Sina, or ang paano mo pronounce is Avicina. Another name. Hypothesized that tuberculosis and other diseases might be contagious. In 1546, Girolamo Fracastoro proposed that epidemic disease were caused by a transferable seed-like entities. Mga seed-like entities or the mga cells, we have your mga flus, na. that could transmit infection by the direct or indirect contact or which without contact over mga long distance. Kay usually yung mga microorganism nga masilo through items. Diba? As these early claims, there are existence of microorganisms were speculative and were not based on any data or science. Microorganisms were either proven, observed, nor correctly and accurately described until 17th century. Nga man kasi 17th century na dira na kita technological advancement when it comes sa diagnosis or dira na discover ang aton nga mga microscope. The reason for this was that all these early studies lack ginamit ni ang microscope. So, ibig sabihin, focus ta sa atong microbiology is your microscope. This is the one tool, very important tool ang gamiton ta sa aton nga subject. Okay, the microscope was discovered on the discovery of your microorganism. Anton van Leeuwenhoek, okay, uh, from 1632 to 1723, was one of the first people to observe microorganism using a microscope of his own design and made one of the most important contribution to biology. Robert Hooke was the uh, first to use Microsoft Living Things. Also, Hook in 1965, okay, he published a book, what you call your Micrographia, contains description of plant cells, okay, before Van Leeuwenhoek. Before Van Leeuwenhoek discovery of microorganisms in 1675. It had been a mystery why grapes were turned to wine, your milk nga turn to cheese or food nga aga kapanos. Van Leeuwenhoek did not make the connection between these processes and microorganism by the use of microscope. He established that there were forms of life that were not visible sa naked eye. Van Leeuwenhoek also discovered throughout the young study the subsequent observation by Splan, Spallanzani and Pasteur, which is all mga ano sila, scientists man, ended with a long-held belief that life spontaneous appears from non-living substances during the process of spoilage or pagkapanos. Here another scientist, Lazzaro Splazzalani, found out that boiling broth would sterile it and kill any microorganism in it. He also found that the new microorganism could settle only in a broth if the broth was exposed sa hangin. Dili ginaterm amo nga ginapabukalan ang tubig anay to ensure or para ma-secure nga clean siya para mainom sa tao. Kay para mapatay ang mga microorganism sa sulod. Next, you have here Louis Pasteur expanded upon the kapit lagi ko sa term Spallanzani findings by exposing boiled broth in the air in a vessel that contains a filter to prevent any particles from passing through to the growth medium. He also did this in the vessel with no air filter, with the air being admitted via a curved tube and preventing just particle from coming in contact with the broth. By boiling the broth beforehand, Pasteur ensured that the microorganism survived within the broth at the beginning of the experiment. Nothing grew in the broth in the course of Pasteur element. This meant that living organisms that grow in such broth came from the outside, as pores on dust rather than the spontaneous generated within the broth. Thus, Pasteur dealt with the death blow to the theory of spontaneous generation and supported germ theory instead. Okay, ano nang ginamin sa ating ginubra ni Louis Pasteur? Baton ha? Louis Pasteur conducted an experiment comparing two broth. Okay, di ba ang balta? Kung i-boil mong broth, it will kill all the microorganism inside. So, mag-prepare sa two broth. Okay? Sa isa nga broth, Okay, after boiling, he put it in a container and sa iyang lagyan sang hangin or sa container, sa box nga muna. Okay? Sa box, sa airflow vent, may filter. Sa isa yang ginbutangan niya sang broth or boiled broth, wala sang filter. Okay? So, ang ginamin niya to nga if ever nga may mag-grow dito sa may filter nga broth is sa umpisa pa lang may nakasulod na nga bacteria ang mga ginamin niya sa hangin while transporting the broth. Okay? If may mag-grow. Pero kay throughout the experiment, okay, nakita ya nga sa isa nga broth nga ginbutang niya sa container nga may filter, okay, wala sa may nagtubo nga bacteria. Then sa isa nga broth nga ang iyang container wala filter, okay, may nagtubo. Okay? Therefore, ang iyang natural case or sa iyang theory, okay, nga ang bacteria is ga-attach or sa spore ga-attach sa iyang mga yabok nga nakakadto sa broth. Okay? Therefore, he stopped the dealt with the blow sa spontaneous generation nga theory kag naga-support na siya sa germ theory nga may microorganism may ginhalinan gid. Okay? So sa ato next, you have here the next scientist which is Ferdinand Julius Kohn. Okay? Was a German biologist. His classification of the bacteria into four groups based on the shape. Okay? This is sa ang term ba niya? May term pathological. Lipat ko sang another term sang shape sang bacteria. Okay, sa shape sa bacteria, you have here your physical attributes na. Okay, physical attributes na sang bacteria. Yan ang shape. You have your spherical, short rods, you have your threads, and your spirals. Okay, in the still use sa aton nga differentiation sang bacteria sa subong nga modern times. Okay? Among other things, Kohn is remembered for being the first to show that bacillus can change from a vegetative state to endospore state when subject to an environment deleterious to the vegetative state. His studies would lay the foundation of the classification of your microbes and give some of the first insight to the incredible complexity and diversity of your microbial life. How to summarize ang ginatag ni Ferdinand Kohn. Okay? Kohn discovered or ginclassifya ang bacteria. Okay? He take note that the different patterns, shape sa mga bacteria. Okay? Atag sa na as ta subong ginagamit na. Okay? He also the first one to discover nga ang bacillus has two stage. Have your vegetative and endospore. Okay? Very simple lang. If ang ada if ang bacillus, okay, kung delikado para sa iya ang environment, okay, uh, nagiging vegetative state siya. Vegetative state, inactive, therefore, mas, uh, ano siya, mas harder to kill. Okay. Then, kung infectious stage na sa, he will go into his endospore stage. Okay. Although, very hard to kill man siya kay may spore siya, nga protekta siya, okay, it is his or its infectious stage. Okay. In 1863 and 1876, okay, you have here Robert Koch, okay, established the microbes can cause diseases. He found that the blood of cattle who were infected with your anthrax always had a large number of Bacillus anthracis. Okay, that is the bacteria that causes your anthrax. Koch found that he could transmit anthrax from one animal to another by taking a small sample of the blood from the infected animal and injecting it to the healthy one. Okay? And this caused the healthy animal to become sick or be infected. He also found that he could grow bacteria in a nutrient broth, then inject it into a healthy animal and cause the illness. Based on the experiments, he diverse criteria for establishing a causal link between microbe and a disease, and these are now known as your Koch factor. Although these postulate cannot be applied in all cases, they do retain historical importance to the development of scientific thoughts and are still being used sa subong nga panahon. In simpler terms, Koch discovered that if you have an infected person, okay, if that infected person, okay, for example, you have your hepatitis. Hepatitis is a blood-borne disease. Okay, blood-borne, hindi kay blood-borne, ginbata siya sa dugo, but it is transferable by blood. Okay? Kay kung ang imo nga hepa nga tawo kay ginkuhaan dugo, then ginsalin sa isa ka tawo which is a perfectly healthy person pero kay kinahanglan sang dugo, okay? Then ang ginkuhaan niya dugo is infected by your hepa, masayloman ang hepatitis sa gintughungan. Therefore, duwa na sila positive. Okay, that is very simple. Also, ang iya pag discover is ang bacteria, for example, if ang isa ka tao is infected by a certain bacteria, ay nagkuha ka lang sa specimen or sample, then you grow it into a broth. Okay. Then if that sample nga nag-grow da or may bacteria nga nag-grow da, ibutang mo sa isa ka tawo, okay, i-infect mo siya using the sample nga nag-grow na siya sa broth, the healthy person will also become sick by that microorganism. Okay? Hypothesis of the origin of your uh, microorganism. You have your biogenesis. They arose from another living things of their same kind. And another is the theory of spontaneous. Okay, dapat sa dalom niya siya. Okay. So this is part ni siya dapat Okay. Tatanaw mo sa akong nga video. So you have your theory of your spontaneous generation. They arose spontaneously from something non-living. Ano ginamin niya na? Or anong difference na? Dapat sa imong biogenesis may ginhalinan man ang imo nga microorganism. They might be evolved. Na theory of evolution. Okay, gets? Ang imo nga theory of spontaneous generation is living organism arose from non-living organism. You have your rock. Your rock is not living. Okay, pero may nagwa ko nga life form da. Na. The debate over spontaneous generation until the mid-1880s, many people believe in spontaneous generation. That idea that living organism could arise from non-living matter. Okay? Until that year lang. Okay, Francisco Reddy demonstrated that maggots appear on decaying meat only when flies are made to lay egg sa karne. Okay, ibig sabihin wala sang ulod nga matubo da kung wala man sang langaw nga madapo or mangitlog. You have here also si Louis Pasteur demonstrated the microorganism in the air everywhere are offered proof of your biogenesis by using various shape of swan neck flask. Swan neck flask is a special apparatus nga daw gabending yang lipog. Therefore, to ensure nga your usually hangin lang gid ang suluda. Then, what are your microbes? Okay? A microbes or your microorganism is a microscopic organism that comprises either a single cell, mga tawag nga unicell, or mga cell clusters, or multicellular, relatively complex organism. The study of your microorganism is called your microbiology, a subject that began with Anton van Leeuwenhoek discovery of your organism in 1675 using a microscope of his own design. Your microorganisms are very diverse. They include your bacteria, fungi, algae, and protozoa. Microscopic plants, you have here your green algae. And sa imong animals, there are such your rotifers and planarians. Some microorganism also includes your viruses, but others consider this as non-living. Okay, sa aton for ginatunga pa. Okay, if ang virus mismo is living ba or non-living. Pero as a virus, for ako na nga personal opinion, I think virus is a living organism. Although they nga man para sa ako because they can locate what type of part ang ilang area kung sa dinggid sila mag-grow. Okay? They know what to do to replicate. It's a sign they have the something coding sa ila to locate or to know what to do para sa ilang reproduction. So para sa akon, it is amo na daw living siya. Okay? Most microorganisms are unicellular, but this is not universal. Since some microcellular organisms are microscopic, they are unicellular protists and bacteria like your Theo margarita. Wait lang class, kay lubat ako. Okay. So where am I? Theo margarita, namibiensis are macroscopic and visible to the naked eye. Your microorganisms live in all parts of your biosphere. They are in liquid water, including your soil, hot spring, or the ocean floor. Also in high in the atmosphere and deep inside rock within the Earth's crust. Most importantly, these organisms are vital to the human and the environment as they participate in Earth's elemental cycles such as the carbon cycle and also nitrogen cycle. Microorganisms also fulfill other vital roles in the virtually all ecosystem, such as recycling other organism, mga dead remains or mga carcass, and waste products through decomposition. Microbes has an important place in the higher order multicellular organism as symbionts or symbiosis, and they also exploited by people in biotechnology both in traditional food and beverage preparation. And in modern technologies, based on a genetic engineering, pathologic microbes are harmful. However, uh, since they can invade and grow within our other organisms, causing diseases that can kill humans, plants, and also animals. Okay, so the halfway through ng tan. The pathologic ecosystem of your microbes. Although many microorganisms are beneficial, many others are causing infectious diseases. The organism involved includes pathologic bacteria, which can cause diseases such as your plague, your tuberculosis, your anthrax. You have your biofilms. Okay, biofilms or your microbial communities that are very difficult to destroy. Aman. And are considered responsible for the diseases like your bacterial infection in patient with cystic fibrosis, Legionnaire's disease, otitis media or middle ear infection. Right? They produce dental plaque, colonized catheters, prosthetics, transcutaneous and orthopedic devices, and in fact, contact lenses. You have your mga open wounds and bird tissues. Nga man. Since ang mga biofilm is like a slimy, what you call that? Slimy nga texture nga ga-cover sa mga bacteria. Ga-protect sila. Then, wag will. Okay. So, sa babaw yan you have your films or your biofilm. Then, sa dalom niya is your bacteria living comfortably. Ano siya. Your foodborne, biofilm also produces your foodborne diseases because they colonize the surface of your food and also mga food processing equipments. Biofilm are a large threat because they are resistant to the most method used to control your microbial growth or pag-disinfect. Moreover, the excessive use of your antibiotics has resulted in a major global problem since your resistance from your bacteria has been selected over time. A very dangerous strain of your methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus or your MRSA or methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus has wreak havoc naman because naman na ganing ginahambal if you have something you're feeling unwell or you are infected by bacteria, okay, hindi ka lang basta-basta inom sang antibiotics. Okay? Gina-lecture ko giniliwat ginakapila ko ni-remind sa mga student nga if you are infected, you need to check the doctor to see kung ano gid ang specific nga bacteria nga nag-infect sa imo. Okay? Kay kung mabala na sang doktor kung ano nga type sang bacteria, therefore he will recommend you with the antibiotics specific for that bacteria. Pero kay if you are already severe na nga infection, okay, what the doctors usually do during that mga time nga na is he will give you uh, broad nga antibiotics nga makakill sang tanan nga type sang sang microorganism or bacteria, okay, just to keep you safe for the meantime nga ginapangita pa kung ano gid nga specific bacteria ang naka-infect sa imo na nga kay gumbalaan na sang doktor kung ano nga bacteria nag-infection mo na i-calculate niya man na tanan regarding sa imong kung ano ka severe ang bacteria growth, okay, ano imong way mamuna may daw nga factor nga galinlain ang dosage sa kada tao. Kag very important kid class nga if you are given with antibiotic and also time or days kung pila mo nakadlaw i-take, okay, you need to follow the process kag tapuson mo gid na kung ano ka nga adlaw matapos. Okay? Let's now continue sa atong study sa atong nga topic. In addition with your protozoan are known to cause diseases such as your malaria, your sleeping sickness, and toxoplasmosis, while your fungi can cause diseases such as your ringworm, candidiasis, histoplasmosis, other diseases such as your influenza, yellow fever, also ang AIDS, and caused by your viruses. Your foodborne diseases result from the consumption of contaminated food or pathologic bacteria, viruses, or parasites that contaminate food. Okay. Hygiene is the avoidance of infection sa food spoilage or spoiling by eliminating microorganisms from the surrounding. As microorganism or your bacteria in particular are found virtually everywhere, the level of harmfulness or harmful microorganism can be reduced to the acceptance level with the proper hygiene technique or pagtinlo sa environment. In some case, however, it is required that an object of substance be completely sterile. Okay, sterile is devoid from living entities and viruses. A good example is your hypodermic needle or usually yung ginagamit na sa mga extract to go muna. You have here your microbes in our daily lives. Leaving things too small to be seen with your unaided eye are what you call your microorganisms. Microorganism is important in the maintenance of the ecological balance of the earth. Some microorganisms live in humans and other animals and are needed to maintain the animal's health. Ang naginhambal ko nga may mga normal flora kita as human. We have your parasatianta, okay? The main component of your Yakult, you have your lactobacillus da, okay? Para sa okay ka ba dyan? Okay? May makita nyo naman naguro sa TikTok, sa Facebook, okay? Anong tsura sang Yakult kung ginatanaw sa microscope. Some microorganisms are used to produce food and also chemicals. Some microorganism causes diseases or you have what you call your pathologic. The diversity of your microorganism. You have here bacteria, fungi, algae, and viruses. Okay? For your bacteria are unicellular organism because they have no nucleus. The cell are described as prokaryotic. The three major basic shape of your bacteria are your bacillus, okay, coccus, and also spiral. There also varies from sizes. You have your micrometer and 0 to 5 micrometer. Most bacteria have peptidoglycan cell wall. They divide with a term of, or ang tawag sa ilang pag multiplication or ilang pag-produce sa self nila is binary fission. Tandaan nyo ha, they divide by binary fission. Therefore, if you have, for example, is a one bacteria, okay, okay, one bacteria, okay, they divide by binary fission. Okay, matunga sila to two separate bacteria. Okay, and they may they may possess flagella. Okay, what is flagella? Flagella is what the ginano nila as tail. Okay, it's like a thin fiber of hair. Ano na? Ang mga ginagamit nila for locomotion or para makagiyo sila. Bacteria can use a wide range of chemical substances for nutrition. Next, you have your fungi. Fungi, ang mga terms ng fungi, you have your mushroom, mold, and yeast. Okay, mushroom muna ang macroscopic or makita tayo sa mga forest. Okay, nakaon mo ang mga mushroom. You have your mold. Ang mold, ang muna makita ta sa mga panos ng mga tinapay, nagatubo na, panos na nga kanon, pag sa pagkaon. That is what you call your mold. Your yeast naman niya class, it is a microscopic organism. Gamba man ko nga, ang molds mo, it is also a microscopic, makita mo na sa microscope. Pero you can see it with the naked eye mo man. Okay, your yeast is microscopic. They have eukaryotic cells or tinatawag tangan true nucleus. Most fungi are multicellular. Your fungi obtain nutrients by observing organic material from the environment. Ang mga katubo sila sa mga forest, sa mga gadikay ng mga kahoy, mga panos nga tinapay. Okay? Next is your algae. Algae are unicellular or multicellular eukaryotes that obtain nourishment by photosynthesis. They are microorganisms pero they act as plants. Naman, they obtain nourishment with the photosynthesis. Okay? Yun ang process nila ng sunlight, okay, para maka-produce ng energy. Algae produces oxygen and carbohydrates that are used by other organism. Ibig sabihin, they anong term? Exhale. They produces or ginapagawa nila oxygen. Then, as humans, kita ang gagamit sa oxygen. That's why, it is important kang na sa mga mag-aalaga sa mga aquarium, okay, algae is important para sa inyong mga aquarium, okay, because it increases oxygen level para sa mga fishes mo. Okay? Next is your viruses. Okay, Viruses are non-cellular entities that have parasites of cell. Okay, viruses consist of nucleic acid core surrounded by a protein coat and envelope may surround the coat nga man. Ginamin ko nga, di ka ano sila ga divert nga ako no ang viruses. Okay, kaya nabutang man din parasites no. Kaya yung mga parasites sa class, it will be discussed mga further mga topics. Pero part na siya sa diversity sa microorganism. Okay, usually mandaan you have your mga macro o mga parasite and also microscopic parasites. Macro parasites, you have your mga kuto, your lice, your tick, okay? Mga galatch on sa ibang animals to feed. Na, 'di ba? Gasalig lang sa iban para mabuhi. Yes, that is what you call your macro parasites. Okay? Your viruses, parasites of the cell, kay need nila other cells to reproduce themselves. Next, the impact of your microorganism on human affairs. Okay, microorganisms are decomposer. Microorganisms degrade dead plants and animals and recycle chemical elements to be used by the living plants and animals. For example, you have your bacteria are used to decompose organic matter in a sewage and microbe decompose food into simple molecules. Your microorganism as nitrogen fixers. Some bacteria live in nodule of your plant roots or atmospheric na nitrogen compound of that the plants can use as their growth. Okay? Ginagamit nila ang nitrogen. Okay? Kay para mas convenient sa plant mabuhay sa mga area. Since toxic para sila ang nitrogen, hindi na need para sa mga process. Therefore, ang bacteria ang ka-process nila. Okay? Your classification of different microorganisms. We generally divide your microorganism according to their characteristics. Ang namin ko, you have your mga shapes. Okay? Pero sa atong nga bacteria, okay, bacteria classified in 2 gram stain. Okay? Gram staining is the color differentiation between two colors. You have your gram positive also and gram negative. Gram positive is either color nga blue, purple, or dark blue, how we call it. Amo na yung color area. Your gram na negative naman is either red, pinkish, or light pink. Okay, that is your color criteria. Bacteria that manage to keep the original purplish or bluish color that have they got a cell wall, they are what you call your gram positive. Gram negative loses the original purple dye and can therefore take up the secondary dye that have got in the cell wall and the cell membrane. They are what you call your gram negative. In short, gram-positive bacteria retains purple color or blue, while ang gram-negative is the red, pink, which show reddish color and lose the purple dye. Instead, your viruses naman yung class, okay, the classification nila is natunga into what you call your genome. Sa ila is either DNA or double-stranded or your ang imo nga RNA nga single-stranded. Your fungi naman class, okay, it is classified in either molds, which is a multicellular, or yeast nga unicellular. In a microscope, it is easy to identify a fungi for they have mostly budding. Budding is amo na ang way kay di ba sa aton nga bacteria mara mag ano sila reproduce o padamo. You have the term of binary fission. Pero kung sa fungi naman, you have your budding. Okay, for example, this is a yeast, unicellular. Yeast. Okay. Para nga mag-multiply siya, okay, it will produce a segment yan na nga do mabad, dumamo ni siya. Patang ni Madroman. Ready. Hey, may draw dili. Okay, so this is your yeast cell. Okay, a unicellular. Okay? Para mag-replicate na siya, it will produce a small bud here. Okay? The bud will become larger hasta nga sila nga shape ya. Okay? Then, masipak. Okay? Muna. Muna ilang nga budding. Other is muni budding. Okay? Kapila siya nga mag-budding. Okay? You have here your unicell. Nag-produce siya isang band, isang yeast. Nag-produce pagid siya sang other band pagid kay yeast. Nag-produce pagid sa other band kay yeast. Produce pagid this lead. So makita na siya sa microscope. I think may ara ko di ba nagama ko ng pa-laboratory ang tuligan. So I will discuss it or pakita ko sa inyo during our meeting. Okay, so tomorrow. So see you sa afternoon. Next is the budding. Appearance will be shown. You have here your hierarchy of classification. Okay. Hierarchy of classification you can use to put each organism includes as human. These are the hierarchy order. You have your domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and what type of species it is. Okay, para matandaan nyo, okay, you have here a mnemonic. Mnemonic is para matandaan mo lang ilang first letter din. Mag-recall mo. You have here, Dina's kids prefer candy over fried green spinach. If you are talking about D, it is domain. If you are kingdom. P, phylum. C for class. O for order. F for family. G for your genus, and S is for species. Okay, so good luck sa pagsaulo sini. Tapos lang para sa inyo. So, with the use of this information, your microbiology for food technology, this gives you the general knowledge of what we will do when we are working in a professional field. Dealing with your microorganism can cause your food spoilage as well as pathogens that may cause diseases or food poisoning sa inyong pakaon. Uh, is improperly cook and store and other things with similar nature. So, we have here bakante lang sa dalom. So, that would be all sa aton nga first nga video. And following na mga weeks, I expect that I will give faster videos na. Hagan-hagan ta ni subong. So, see you sa aton nga meeting. Okay, that would be all. Thank you. And stay safe always, kids. Bye.